Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Drunk Knitter Podcast. I am your host, Sophia. This is take 2. I am sorry, Jake. Yeah, sometimes I gotta do 2 or 3 takes to get the intro going. But as you can see, I have my husband, Jake, on the show with me today because we are going to talk about photographing your hand knits. So whether you're a designer like me, or if you just want to stunt on the gram, or if you're on Ravelry and you just want to photograph your knits, and do so in a way that that really shows off all that hard work that you put into it, then you want to stick around because we're going to talk about it. Jake is my photographer for all of my knits, believe it or not, and he is not a real photographer, but he does a really good job. Like, I'm shook sometimes. Before I get started, I do want to give a quick follow-up because everyone's asking me for this follow-up on Darn Good Yarns. $10 box. They sent me this. They sponsored my last video. Thank you, y'all. That's awesome. I'm just going to give them a quick shout out today because everyone asked me about a follow-up. So I am still knitting the yarn. I literally knitted that day and I got pretty far. I haven't had time to complete it. I decided to go with the cowl pattern that went with the box, just because I felt like they kind of knew better than me than doing a garter stitch. This yarn definitely looks better with a slip stitch pattern, in my opinion, than a garter stitch pattern. But to each their own, you know. And overall, I still love this yarn. Now, this yarn is a single ply hand, it's like hand spun, yeah. It's a single ply, it's a hand spun yarn, and so you're gonna get some inconsistencies in the yarn weight, which for me, I'm very used to. I personally love rustic yarns. I am knitting a sweater out of a rustic yarn right now, and I'm so excited. So what rustic yarns like that have that hand spun, thick and thin look, you will not get stitches that are going to be the same size. So when you knit from yarn like this that is featured in this box, they tend to use recycled yarn that's hand spun. Then you have to be mindful of the projects that you knit. If you knit like a stockinette sweater out of these yarns, then your sweater is going to look bumpy and it's going to have a look that's more rustic. And if that's not what your aesthetic was, then you're going to be disappointed. That's why I really took the advice of the pamphlet they included in Darn Good Yarn box, and I made sure to use the slip stitch pattern that the designer came up with for this cowl, and it definitely makes a big difference. When I was knitting in garter stitch, I wasn't quite happy with the way it was coming out, and that was just because of the different consistency that's in the yarn, and that's just because it's hand spun. Now, do I like the feel of this yarn? Yes, I am a merino girl. Puppy! Puppy! Come here! What are you doing? I am a merino girl, so I do love animal fiber a lot. This is my first time working with silk, and I absolutely love it for small projects like this. I also love silk if it was spun, like not hand spun, but commercially spun. I would also use that to make like a nice summer shirt or something like that. But I do love this particular silk hand spun. Anyway, in total, I like it. And I am excited to finish this cowl so that way I can wear it. So stay tuned. I'll hopefully wear that because I have another Instagram post coming up for them pretty soon. And hopefully I can finish this so I can wear it. And yes, I do still love these needles. I cannot wait till I cast this off. And then I can use these needles for my mitered square blanket. Yes, I started sewing pieces together. Look how cute and bright this is. Oh, this is the wrong side. Sorry. Is that the wrong side? I don't know. Ooh, it's going to be a queen size blanket. And I know you can pick up stitches on the edges of your yarn, of your square, your mitered square. When you knit mitered squares, you can pick up stitches on the edges and then connect your next square just by knitting straight from your first square. I purposely did not do that because this will be a queen size blanket. And if I have to pick up stitches on a queen size blanket and lug queen size blanket around with me, then I'm going to be pretty mad because it's going to be massive. And I like the portability of single squares. So that's why I'm doing it the old school way. And I mix my scarf for Jake. All right. So, Jake, let's take that off. I can't look at that in the viewfinder. Okay, so let's talk about photographing it. Okay. So, step one, this is my first question. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
Why do we always take pictures outside?
Well, I guess the number one thing usually is what?
I just like coughed up my lung. Anyway, look at my mug. What is this called? It's a mule. Moscow Mule.
Yeah.
There's no liquor in here. I'm sorry. Go on, Jake.
But anyway, you know, the number one reason I guess we take stuff outside is just lighting.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you always get better. Natural light is always better than artificial.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other thing is just when you add some kind of interesting scenery or something to the background, it really enhances the picture. You know, I figure if anybody's coming to your page, they're probably already interested in seeing you, and they're interested in seeing hand knits. So we got those two things in there already. we're already 2 for 2. And then, you know, if you can find one more thing, like an interesting landscape or some kind of interesting object or something to go with it, you know, and just make a more interesting photo.
Okay, look at the good people.
And I don't have any clue what I'm doing.
You're supposed to be talking. It's okay. We're going to keep that in there. But you also said that it's like natural light's better. I agree. And I wish, like, the thing is that we're not all photographers. Like, we don't all have that light set up, like, in our house at our disposal. So when you're just trying to take pictures for Instagram or take pictures for your Ravelry group or just to send to your mom or whatever of your hand knits, and you want to show off all that gorgeous texture that is in, like, your knitted garments, then you really need really good lighting to show off that texture and not make it look muddled. In a nice, like, ideal world, like, we would have, like, lighting everywhere and like you know, like the artificial lighting that they use on shoots and stuff, but we don't have access to that. We are a 2-person, a puppy team, and so we just use natural light, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it works really well. And we also play with the landscape. Like, we live in a very rural area, and we feed off of that. So we go to the park a lot. Like, we go to a lot of public parks, but we shoot it from different angles, so you don't always see, like, the asphalt. You know what I mean? Of, like, the park trail. We always get people's, like, farmland. And that's also a thing. And, like, you also catch light very well. Like, as I'm talking, I'm going to put, like, pictures, I guess, over here of, like, what I'm talking about when he shoots backgrounds of, like, the scenic Indiana rural king hashtag country. If you know what rural king is, put it in the comments. If you don't know what it is, don't tell people that don't know what it is. Just scream rural king in the comments if you know what rural king is, and don't tell nobody what it is. It's like Fight Club, okay? Rural king club. We'll have to be like one person, like, yeah, rural king in the comments. Right, puppy? Puppy likes rural king. You like rural king? Yeah. So yeah, but we definitely capture that wonderful, like, Indiana countryside that I didn't grow up with. So I find it really pretty. It's flat and it's a lot of farmland, and some people might think it's boring, but I really love it. And you get those, like, gnarled trees. I also like taking pictures on your mom's porch. Mm. His parents live in a log cabin. I can't. His parents live in a log cabin, and I love getting that wood up in my pictures, don't I? Mm-hmm. And then when I edit, it's like that wood. I make the wood pop too much sometimes, but I love it. But yeah, so lighting. How about composition of the photos? I noticed that you tend to stick to, like, the rule of thirds, whatever it's called.
Yeah, and the only reason I know anything about that is because you taught me.
I taught him the rule of thirds. And you know how I know about the rule of thirds? Because I taught photography to a bunch of 5-year-olds. Because I have no self-restraint. So, like, the rule of thirds is that you picture, when you take a photo of something, you picture it as a grid. You have a grid that's just 3 columns. I'm going to put it up right here. A 3-column grid, just like that. And your first column is your first part of the picture. The second column is the center. And the third part is the end of the picture, right? Kind of, sort of. Kind of trying to explain it. Anyway, to make this easy, because we can't visualize crud, I actually... If you go into your camera phone settings, I have a Samsung, but I know Apple does this too. Just go into your setting and put grid view. It might be called grid view or grid photo or something. And what that does, that every photo that you take, when you go to take that picture, you see that grid before you take it. And that would help with the photo composition. Because I noticed you play with like so much different like ways. Like you'll put me like at the very end of like a shot, and then you'll have like light streaming through the trees on the other end. And when Jake take pictures, like it's not like a photographer where it goes like boom, 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 boom. Like he actually centers me like in a way in the picture, takes a moment, and then once he shoots it, he tells me like, okay, I took it, so that way I could change my pose, right?
Yeah.
But there's quite a few seconds in between poses. It's not like what you see on TV, like, you know, because he's really trying to center it and capture it in with perfect composition. And I think that's one of your strong points as a photographer is your composition. Yeah. That's what I like about it. Like, I always like brag on him to his mom because that's what us girls do. And I'm like, Cheryl, look at your son's pictures. And she's like, let me show the other ladies. That's what we were looking at yesterday, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yes. When we hung out, I hung out with my in-laws yesterday. I hung out with all his aunties and grandmas and mom, and we all went antiquing without the boys. It was a good time. Good time. But yeah, your composition, you always make sure you use the natural lighting. What else do we do? Because like you take the pictures, but I edit.
Yeah. And
that's another thing. So he focused on the compositions. Like, I have no idea how to take a good photo. Okay, so Jake does composition, and then Jake does lighting, and I have no idea what he's doing. I generally have no idea what the pictures really look like. I just trust him, and at the end of the shoot, I don't care. Like, I don't want to look at it anymore because I'm tired. Like, I get bored. and then once I look at the pictures, and my first look is that then I go into editing. And editing is a huge part. It's like literally 50% photography, 50% editing. Would you say that?
Yeah, I mean, you handle most of that, but I would say
yeah,
probably.
And I edit on my Samsung. I don't use Photoshop. I don't use anything expensive. I could use Photoshop. There's a free version of Photoshop. But we are running on limited resources out here in Indiana, right here in the middle of nowhere with the Pony Express delivering our mail. Like, we don't have that many resources. Like, my phone cannot hold all that. It cannot hold Photoshop. So, I use Google Photos, which I love. I actually have a full tutorial on Google Photos on my channel. I'll put that link at the end of the video so that way you can click it. Because I figured out how to do that now. I feel so like fancy. I feel like a real YouTuber because I was like, I figured out how to put those little boxes with the video. You know what I'm talking about? I was so happy. So anyway, I'm going to put that video at the end where I go through Google Photos, which is a free program that already comes with your Samsung phones. But you could also use it on your computer if you don't have a Samsung phone. I'm not sure if it's in the Apple App Store. I wouldn't be surprised if it was, just because like it's such like a big app. And anyway, what I love about Google Photos is that it's just like Adobe Photoshop where they have really professional looking filters. I always filter my pictures. So that's the first thing I do. And then after I filter them, I go in and I color correct. But I wouldn't be able to do all that and get beautiful pictures if I didn't have Jake's foundation of a perfectly composed picture. So it definitely is 50. What?
Nothing.
What are you laughing at? Shut up! What are you? I'm about to kick you off my show in 2 seconds. Shut up before I make you guess the prices of things. Okay? We got like 15 minutes to go. We're gonna, since you're on here, we're gonna have to do like Price is Right Part 2. Everyone said I was too hard on you the first time. Everyone felt bad for Jake after that video. Jake was, I'll put that at the end too. Well, like, we played Price is Right with my knitting stuff on the show, and everyone was like, oh, that was too hard for Jake. Poor Jake. Poor Jake is being tortured. I didn't smell my candle yet. You don't watch my show, so I'm a little heartbroken, but no, I don't care. But anyway, I always smell my candle that I have going on, and I always scare everybody with my candles because I always wave flammable materials. In fact, I was waving my mitered square around, and that's highly flammable. And this is... And then when I go back and edit, I look and I'm like freaked out. So anyway, my candle today, my fire hazard today is sandalwood tobacco. I am getting in to these natural smell. You gotta smell it. Natural, non-essential oil candles. So like sandalwood. I love that incense. I always burn sandalwood in my house. Just smells amazing. And then with that earthy tobacco, that sweet earthy tobacco. After we sniff, Jake, we take a drink. Get your can. So anyway, that was most of our tips. Is there anything else before the editing video, the lighting, the composition?
I think the biggest thing, because I really I don't know anything about photography. I've never taken a class. I don't know anything about it. So I think the biggest thing is just like experimenting a little bit. Just try playing around with different angles and keep an eye out for interesting scenery, and try and figure out different ways to incorporate it. I think the biggest thing is just I take a lot of pictures. And then we sort through and find the ones that actually.
But the thing is, they're almost always winners, like all of them.
Some are better than others.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of good ones.
I think that's the biggest thing is just play around with it, take a lot of pictures, and then you can pick your favorites out.
Because some people believe that the light always has to be behind you, but then there's pictures where like the light's poking through trees, like the way you do that, like it's. So like you really just play with lighting a lot too.
Yeah.
And you also focus on texture. I've noticed, right?
Yeah.
Like if like when he was doing that coat, like almost all the pictures you're gonna see today that I put up here, it's gonna be of the coat that I made that you just photographed a few weeks ago, and it has that button detail, and Jake was very meticulous with getting that button. So when you have your hand knits that you want to photograph, make sure that you're getting the details. Like if it has a split hem, get that picture. If it has buttons like mine did, get that picture. Make sure that you get the little details because that's what really matters, right? And identifying that hard work. Now, what do you say to people that don't have a person to take those pictures?
Well, that's
like me, because there are times where like Jake's at work, not helping me.
If you don't have anybody to take your pictures for you, maybe you can find somebody to model for you.
Yeah.
There you go.
So
because that usually you do all the modeling, so if you don't have anybody
want to see my face, I'm kidding.
You don't have somebody that can actually take your pictures for you, and you want to do that part. Find somebody that can model them for you, or just find
a hanger.
Yeah, find different ways where you could photograph it by itself with something interesting in the background.
I've seen a lot of people do it with hangers. Like, it'd be cute. Take a hanger with your sweater, hang it up on a tree, like on a limb of a tree.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that way you're still getting that nature look. Like, you have to get creative and use what you got. I mean, right now we're filming using a garbage can as a tripod. Like, it's just, we gotta use what we got, right? Like,
yeah, I think you just gotta get a little creative with it. I think if you can find literally anybody to just stand there and smile with whatever you're trying to photograph on, I think having a person
is the best. It's ideal.
In it, I think makes it a lot more interesting to look at.
Makes it pop.
Yeah.
I found that a lot of people try to take those flat photos You know what I'm talking about?
Mhm.
Like, you took a few of those with me. By flat photos, I mean the object is directly underneath the camera, and the camera angle is completely flat. So you're just seeing bird's eye view head on. And I found that those pictures get very little attention on my feed. I don't know what it is. No one's here for my flats. And I think the reason why is that flats, that's what we call them when they're bird's eye views of something, are very hard to get perfect. You have to have the angle completely perfect. You need a tripod. The lighting needs to be spot on. You're usually indoors. So, like, you got to get your lighting going. And I always struggle with flats. So, if you're going to do a flat, just be sure to be in for the struggle bus. I wish someone told me, so I'm going to tell you, the struggle bus is real with flat pictures. They're all over Instagram too, and I don't know how everyone does it. Like, well, I don't remember their names, but, so, yeah. You know what, Jake?
What? Why do you look so mischievous?
I think it's Price is Right redemption time. Anyway, guys, that was our top tips for photographing your hand nets. I hope that helped you. Think that helped them?
Hopefully.
Hopefully that helped you.
I mean, I always think, you may know a little bit about photography. I don't really know anything, so
I know, but I'm not good at it.
I think that's a good word of encouragement. If you think that our pictures are pretty good, we don't know what we're doing. So
I really don't know.
You can if you think ours are good, you can do that too. It's not unachievable in any way.
No, it's not. And I found out that Jake should take my pictures after he was taking photos of something that I was struggling so much with, and he just changed the perspective. And that's what you mean, you have to change up.
Yeah.
You gotta experiment, or else you're gonna be stuck like I was and frustrated with taking photos. Because I've gotten good photos with really bad lighting,
Yeah.
I've gotten photos, you just have to change.
That's where the editing comes in too.
Yeah, editing, and I have a great video on that. I really go step by step. You see the screen, it's not guesswork, and I took a really cruddy picture, and I turned it into a not so cruddy picture, so check it out. Anyway, we're about to film another podcast for you guys. It's gonna be great. Right, Jake?
Whoopee.
Whoopee for you. I gotta edit these, so shut it. Anyway, thank you guys for watching, and see y'all later. Bye!